It was just a client who wants tax advisory. She wants tax planning. She wants tips about what the deductions are, but she doesn't want to pay for it. I'm like, listen, I'm selling my brain to you. You're teaching kids karate. Their result is their belts or whatever may be happening. My results are your success. Yeah. As I'm trying to help you save taxes, I'm trying to help you run your business. Your end result is success. And we have to understand, we don't have to give that away. Just because somebody gets upset over, well, you didn't tell me about that. Well, you didn't pay for me to tell you that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Strategy and the Virtual Controller, where Penny Breslin, my co-host, and I, we talk all things cloud accounting, technology, workflow, but also most importantly, building a business with intention, being intentional about the type of business that you're trying to build. We are here live in real life at QuickBooks Connect in Las Vegas, and we've got a very special guest with us today. If you haven't heard of her, you've been living under a rock, but we're delighted to welcome Dawn Brolin to the show. How are you, Dawn?
Wow, Damien and Penny, you're two of my favorite. I've known you guys for, I feel like forever, but I'm so pumped to just be talking to you guys and helping people grow their business and get their stuff together.
And Penny, you were in Dawn's, so I'm here as a member of Intuit, so I can't go to any of the sessions. Apparently they're sold out or fire code or whatever, but you were in Dawn's session yesterday. What was it about the session that you were like, other than we've got to catch up with Dawn, what was in her session that really stood out to you?
At first, I had another session scheduled.
Oh.
And she sent me an invite, so I went to that one. I sent my team to the other one. And I'm glad I went, because some of these sessions I went into, I got up and walked out of 5 minutes afterwards. Heard this before. There were two that I stayed to the bitter end and recorded because they were so good. One of them was Dawn's. And it's because Dawn was honest. Well, first of all, she was fun.
Always
absolutely
is.
Fun,
always
over the
is.
top fun, and engaging, and informational, but also actionable. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I find about Dawn and a few other people that are speaking here. But she didn't color code anything. She didn't put rose glasses on. She didn't say this was going to be overnight. She showed people the pains that she went through, and then how she determined she needed to fix it and when she needed to adjust on it. And for a fast pace, what was it, 50 minutes to an hour?
It was 1 hour.
It was 1 hour. And you didn't feel like you felt like you were there for 15 minutes, but it was a huge informational download with pure honesty about what it's going to take. So one of the things that you talked about was how you have to learn to know what you want, where do you want to go, what's your goal, and work your way back, and you have to adjust, right?
Yeah, I talked a lot about my journey. I gave them kind of my path to where I'm at, focusing on advisory work and the pain and suffering that I went through. And
because you started out as a bookkeeper, you went and got your CPA license, you got into sort of tax advisory type work. Like, you've walked this path and like beaten a path for yourself. So you have gone through this whole process of trying to work out what you want to be when you grow up. Is that how you look at it? Or?
Well, she hasn't
grown up yet.
Yeah.
Look at her.
That's not going to
exactly.
happen.
Yeah. Still.
Look at what I'm wearing. Yeah. But no, you're right, because it's like being born as a baby when you first start your business. You're like, I just need milk. And then you're like, oh, I just need a pacifier and change my diaper, all that stuff. And you go through this process of growth, but yet then sometimes you look back and you're like, wow, if I could tell my 29-year-old self what I know at 53, would have been a different life. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm thankful I went through it, because I think you have to learn how to change. And I loved the keynote this morning about
that. Was fantastic.
It was unbelievable.
She was amazing.
She was wild. And it just reaffirmed that, I'm ready to make change. I am somebody who, I don't want the same day every day. So I think through the progress for a firm is to understand that change doesn't mean there's another person that that was going to give you the perfect advice. And everything's great, wonderful. Oh, this is an easy thing. Just do it this way. No, it's like, this is how I did it. It's working for me. I'm still making shifts and adjustments. And they have to understand that it's their journey, not mine. But at the same time, hey, if you can take away 2 or 3 nuggets, like just start doing it and move yourself to subscription world.
And that was one of the things you and I talked a lot about, the subscription world, and how difficult, they make it sound easy in marketing, but how difficult it actually is because of scope creep and not paying attention to that. And Dawn had a great story about a client who was causing her a lot of pain and anguish.
Yeah, it was just a client who wants tax advisory. She wants tax planning. She wants tips about what the deductions are, but she doesn't want to pay for it. I'm like, listen, I'm selling my brain to you. You're teaching kids karate. Their result is their belts or whatever may be happening. My results are your success. Yeah. As I'm trying to help you save taxes, I'm trying to help you run your business. That's what your end result is, success. And can I tell you when that's going to happen? No, because I don't run your business, but I can at least give you some good advice. And we have to understand, we don't have to give that away. Just because somebody gets upset over, well, you didn't tell me about that. Well, you didn't pay for me to tell you that.
Oh, I love that line. Oh my God, thank you. Could you say that again?
Yeah, let me say it again. It's like, listen, you want to know this information, but you're not paying me for it. You want me to give it to you for free. Yeah. What I have to sell is my knowledge.
Yes.
But I think what is interesting is people don't know what they don't know until it's put in front of them. They're like, but hey, shouldn't you be doing this for me anyway? Like, shouldn't you just be giving it to me because I'm paying you for tax?
Answer that one.
So I had this one client last week reaming out my girl, Nicole, and she's like, so the fact that I have to pay sales tax, this must have slipped through the cracks. Dawn does my income tax return and she should have caught that. And Nicole's like, no, you hired her to do your income tax, not to advise you on business. And that client got all fired up and I was like, fine. I got in my car and I drove to her business. She was lucky she wasn't there.
Did you bring the baseball bat?
I didn't need it. I had every other thing I needed.
But that's so true. I mean, it's like, wait a minute.
Well, I stood up for myself.
Yes.
I stood up for Nicole. Yeah. And usually we're like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my fault. It's not my fault.
Normally we'd give it away normally we charge for it, but I'm going to give it away for free for this time and I'll charge you next time. But you never do. Until you put that line in the sand, isn't it? That says, you know what? My time is valuable. And actually, here is the dollar value of my time. And if you want my expertise, you want my experience, you're going to have to pay for it.
How do you deal with this? Because you used Ignition.
Yep.
And I think it's one I've always, since they came into the country, it's fantastic. But it's interesting because you do the flat rate.
Yes.
You do, but I'm sure it's not the same for every single client. You have to look at what it is you do for the client. And then how do you deal with, in using Practice Ignition, because you've got them on recurring, how do you deal with something that goes, this is off scope, something you discovered, because you're doing advisory work, now you're going to do some more work for the client. And it may be a special project or it's not something that's reoccurring. So how do you adjust with that within Ignition, or do you somehow do that outside of Ignition?
Well, Ignition, what a nice thing about it is it'll do a one-off bill. It'll allow you to do like a separate bill from a contract and be able to just go in there, here's what I'm going to do, send it off, and they'll sign, they pay for it, and you're done. But it's such an easier way. The reason why is there's factors in scope creep.
Yeah.
There's liability, comfort letters, other things that, finishing a workers' comp audit. There's like liability. When there's liability, that's a scope creep. When there's liability, tax returns, we have certain liabilities, but really it's the client. And if you're doing it right and they've provided you information, there's something wrong, that's on them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to E&O insurance, that's what I always think of. I'm like, what's my E&O insurance? Or I'll say, okay, we're doing your accounting, we're doing forecasting, we're doing budgeting, we're doing life insurance policies, we're doing all these things. And now all of a sudden you got a DOL audit. Now a DOL audit is like a natural disaster. It's not something you ever anticipate that an IRS audit. You never anticipate that.
And you couldn't factor it into your.
No.
You wouldn't want to factor it into your regular recurring.
Oh, because they aren't going to want to pay me $20,000 a month. Because when an audit comes through, like an IRS audit, that's an easy $10,000 to $20,000 retainer up front. Because those are a nightmare. So when you think about it, do you want to prepare for an audit? Fine. It's going to cost you this much because you're going to pay me a minimum of $20,000. You want to pay me, let's call it $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month for me to be ready for an audit, they're not going to pay for that.
No.
So that is out of scope.
Yes.
But what about, okay, so an IRS audit, that comes in, okay, you've got this letter. It's not an easy conversation by any means. But what about that additional bit of tax advice or the cash flow plan or the cash flow? How do you have those conversations with your clients to be like, whoa, hold up.
Talk about the truck,
buying the truck.
It.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe like a capital purchase.
A capital purchase. So I'm just like, historically, I'd find out in March when I was doing their return that they bought a capital asset. They bought this truck. So because we're proactive, we're talking about the truck. I said, okay, we need to get cash out of the business. We need to put it into a mutual fund, money market. So you're earning 5% right now as we sit and wait for the truck to be built.
Yes.
You're going to make money, about $1,000 a month each, personally, because you're shareholders. That's in your personal account. We distribute it. And then when you're ready to buy the truck, you put that principal back in the business, but you're still keeping those earnings. And I said to them, I go, I want you guys to understand something.
The value of telling a business owner that is unfathomable. It always amazes me that CPAs just like give it away for free.
I'm like, no, I'm not helping you with that. First of all, now I'm involved with a wealth management company who's going to set up the money market. I don't make money from that. I just refer because I know them and they do my stuff, but I'm bringing you to them.
Yeah.
And they're just like, wow. And now they're seeing reaping the rewards. You think they're going to come off the subscription price?
Hell
You're crazy.
no.
You're crazy. It's not
No,
gonna
and
happen.
you know what else happens? I find when I do, because I've done this, I have a few direct clients, is that I have to increase the fees. Okay, this means we're still doing business together, right? They don't want you to go away if you've given them this kind of help and you introduce them to your setters of influence that you trust.
Right.
Because it's so hard in this world to go find somebody who's in wealth management. Oh my God, you're getting slammed with that crap all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. And so to have somebody who's vetted, that's valuable.
Absolutely.
To have that vetted person. Because you can vet them on insurance. You can vet them on wealth management. You can vet them on banking.
Mm-hmm.
You find the best bank for them to use.
Yep.
So that truck example, you're not charging for that. Did you?
Well,
Or is that's a part of
that's
your
a part
general
of our
advice?
planning.
That's a
Yeah.
part of your planning,
Yeah.
which is a part of your monthly.
Now that's if they're paying for ongoing
For
tax
the
planning.
ongoing, yeah,
when
yeah.
you're like, we're going to see you once a quarter or twice a year, we're not having those in-depth conversations because we don't. I'm not going to get on a call for 4 hours with you.
But this
also,
is
but also
a
you're not talking to them regularly. You're not seeing these types of
Exactly.
things regularly, so
Yeah,
they
you-
don't see you as that playing that role anyway.
Right.
This
You're
is a
coming in.
company where you're in their books every month.
yeah.
You're closing them. You know what's going
doing
on.
everything.
You're doing everything. You've got the monthly reports. Doing the tax return
Yep.
becomes a no-brainer.
It's all done.
Yeah, it's all done.
I
So the
mean-
conversation can be had.
Well, and Nicole, as the one doing the books, is the one who says, hey, now I talked to them about a transaction. They put $5,000 on a truck. Oh, what? They're buying a truck? Good. Let me call
Hang on,
Mark.
let me-
Hey,
yeah.
Yeah.
you guys are buying a truck? Let's talk about that. Let's get on a call because there's implications on depreciation. We're only 80%. We're not at 100. Well, oh, we're not? No, you're not at 100. That's why you've got to let me know when you're ready to make a purchase. And it
So
starts
one of
a
the
better
things when you
dialogue.
were telling that story, one of the questions that popped into my head was that when you look at putting together a pricing for that client, like you said, you're not going with bronze, silver, or gold. That might be a loss leader to get them in. But every client has their own package
Right.
based on their needs. Do you cushion that to allow yourself to feel comfortable giving up that time on the phone with them? So do you add in somehow, remember on my pricing sheet, I
Yeah.
said, put in what's your hourly rate, add that to the total monthly bill, because at some point
They're gonna call you.
you're going to call you.
Yep.
And
I love that.
And you need to feel comfortable with them calling you. And well, what if they don't call me? That's okay, because by the time they do, it's going to be a 2-hour conversation.
Exactly.
So you've gotten paid for it, and you now have not only the feeling of feeling good about picking up the phone, but also there's no fear on the client side.
Right.
I do love that. Just fear of the client picking up the phone, but also how many accountants see the calls coming from their clients and like, well, I'm not taking that call.
Yeah.
I don't want
all
to
the
take
time.
that call. But actually, if you've got this relationship where the fees are agreed, the scopes are agreed, the client knows that they're going to call their accountant before
I actually
they do
tell the
something
client,
stupid.
put it
It's a
on
different
a line
relationship,
item
isn't
on
it?
there, that part of your monthly service that you're paying for, the $1,500 a month, is you get an hour of my time.
Right. I think you have to also set up the expectation that, listen, I'm not just going to call you once a month.
Yeah.
You call me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually really interesting, because then there's this sort of, well, hang on, what happens if I don't use my hour? Does it roll over? And I'm like, look, it's not about the 60 minutes. It's about
being
I'm there
available.
to pick
Oh,
up the phone.
I have a good example.
Okay, good.
You got Netflix as a subscription. You pay $100 a month or whatever it is because you don't want ads and all the rest of this stuff. Do you think only because you watched one show they're going to give you $80
Yeah.
back? They're not doing that. That's a subscription.
fair.
Is
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
have everything or nothing. That's up to you. But I wanted to mention your point about this, silver, bronze, gold, whatever. So we developed those as choices. But then when we had the conversation with the client, we said, listen, you really fall over here. Some clients, I'm like, you're $750 a month. I think that's plenty for you. We meet quarterly. I know your business. Let's
Yeah.
do that. Or I'm like, we have so much work to do, guys. You're at the $2,500 a month level or whatever it may be. So with some of what we're doing right now, we're in a transition where it's like, everyone that's a business owner has to be in a subscription, and some of them I don't want. So they're just going to get the email with, here are your 3 choices, and I don't care. The others, I'm going to call them and say, I'm sending you this. This is where I think you belong, but I'm going to let you still make the choice. But I'm giving, and with Ignition, you can hit the recommend.
Yeah.
It's good. You're going to see the one I recommend. That's where I think you belong. Because some of them we'll do a reasonable comp analysis on an S corporation. It's just one shareholder. We're doing tax planning for one person, not 3 shareholders, whatever. So we know them. I don't want someone to pay me $2,500 if really we're going to do $750 worth of work. I'm like, it depends on the situation. If I know they have growth opportunity and things that they can do, then we want them at the highest level. I really only want like 20 clients.
I mean, I think that's a really interesting thing as well, and it goes back to what we originally started with about building that business with intention, because you can go out and pick up 200 individual tax returns pretty easy.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But that's not really what you want to. As you said, I want to work with 20 really great clients,
Yep.
and they're gonna have to pay me $2,500, $3,000 a month.
Yep.
And it'll probably grow from there. But that's the business I want to build.
Well, and also I think it also helps in a lot of other areas. Helps in quality of life and lifetime management.
Right.
And it also helps with you on what your marketing program can be, because you know that you're just filling a certain part of the funnel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're having to go out and do all the crazy things people used to do to get somebody to knock on your door. You can harvest clients from your current clients.
Right.
And you can let some of them go. I mean, I know we've had 2 CPA firms where the partners retired, and we've had to reimagine how we're doing with the people, working with the people that are taking over for them. I mean, so you can keep that funnel going, but the pressure of massive marketing campaigns goes away if you know, I only want 20. Because 20 is what I can happily
handle, and I like them.
And I like them.
And think about when you're ready to sell.
Yes.
If I can be like, dude, I've been doing this for 3 years. Nobody's left. Look at my P&L.
Yeah.
Look at my gross revenue. You're going to pay me 3 times what you would pay me if I was just in an hourly billing or a per tax
as long as you
return
don't
pricing.
screw it up.
Yeah.
As long as you don't screw it up.
You got to do it right.
Yeah,
but
you
that's a
gotta
whole
do it
nother
right.
call. That's a whole nother
That sounds-
conversation.
But that's true. That's what I always said. If you want to sell your business and you've got it all processed, procedured, and you have happy clients,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's many times multiple.
That's what many more
Yeah.
times.
yeah, many more times.
Dawn, this has been fascinating. I'm glad that we ran into you in the hallway. Glad that you tracked Penny down.
I love Penny.
Always
It's easy.
good to see
I
you.
love Dawn.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Well,
much
we're both East Coasters.
for sharing
Yes.
some insight. Yeah, East Coasters. You're like
We're a different breed.
you're
Wait a minute.
Northeast.
I should say
You're
Northeast. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
Northeast.
Pleasure as always, Dawn. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast of Strategy and the Virtual Controller.
It's my honor. I've always loved both of you. Anything I could ever do to help. And I just want to help the people. Like, they got to get it together, do something different. If you're doing the same thing and you're still miserable, that doesn't make you a very smart person. So
life is too short.
Life
to be
is too
miserable.
short. Be happy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Righto, ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen, thank you very much. And folks, we're back with another episode of Strategy in the Virtual Controller, and we're live at QuickBooks Connect in Las Vegas. And Penny, do you want to introduce our next guests that we've been able to wrangle into joining us for a podcast?
Yeah, I just pushed them out of a session that they were still on. On your left, Damien, is Sharmila. She is my partner at MoneyPenny SN Financial Services. And on your right is Nirmala, my other partner at MoneyPenny SN Financial Services. And these 2 ladies run our Chennai operation.
And so you come out from Chennai. Now, hopefully listeners have remember Sharmila and Nirmala from a previous episode when Penny was actually in Chennai, but they've actually come out for QuickBooks Connect. So Sharmila and Nirmala, welcome. Delighted to have you here.
Hi.
Thank you for giving this opportunity here.
You're absolutely welcome.
This is Nirmala's first time in Las Vegas. Sharmila has been here before.
Oh, first time in Las Vegas. Why don't we start there? What is your first impression of Las Vegas?
First impression here, people are very enjoying.
Yep.
And more than work, we have to come here to enjoy.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
This is a place for enjoyment.
Yeah.
I feel. So
There's a lot of enjoyment that happens
One
in
thing
Las
we
Vegas.
missed it. We missed doing gambling. I mean, few slot machines we used to play, but this time it's all work.
Sharmila said, "Am I going to be able to gamble while I'm there?"
So now, have you been tempted to play a slot machine or no?
No, but this time we didn't get an opportunity to play. So,
Well, there's a few more hours left.
Yeah, I know,
surely,
really.
surely.
but still we have 2 more sessions to go.
All right. So speaking of sessions, what have you enjoyed about QuickBooks Connect about the programs. What sessions have you enjoyed?
This time the topics was very different, and there were a lot of panel discussions. In fact, I had to happen to watch the group discussion about the outsourcing opportunities and the like what are the opportunities they have and what are the difficulties they are facing while doing outsourcing job. The discussion was very good, and it was of more practical. Like whatever the difficulties, even we feel sometimes.
Yep.
The same thing when we heard from others, we have to say agree. Yes.
Yeah, we have the same thing. Yeah. Interesting.
And the panel members, they were not from India, but they are from Vietnam and they are from Philippines.
Yep.
And the discussion was good.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Sharmila?
The latest session I attended is non-profit workflows.
Yep.
There are 3 different types of workflows which was covered by Megan, and it's more than proud to say that we had an opportunity to work with Megan. We are still a client of hers, and that session went very well. A lot of tricky things about presenting the non-profit. We now have a clarity. So probably this will be a useful session wherein we take these inputs to the training department, have a detailed session of how we can help the clients with the non-profit this thing. And the second one session that attracted me is using AI in our current practice. How we can use AI to minimize our time. And then one more session using the tools and technologies and outsourcing this thing. So when talking about tools and the technologies, the topics which they covered, it is all those apps we have been using in our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to documentation, they spoke about the Google Drive and HubDog. When it comes to the workflows, they spoke about Aero, the GFR, and Canopy, Jetpack. These are all the workflows which we have been using day-to-day life for our existing clients. And the security.
Yeah.
When they spoke about the security, it was only 2 things. Tech for accountants, and the other one is Practice Protect. With Practice Protect, we are able to maintain the security intact.
Yeah, and tech for accountants, he's been, we interviewed him.
Yes, yeah.
And he's been our back-end cybersecurity guy for a couple of years.
Yeah, nice.
So it was kind of interesting for them to actually come here and not only see clients that we have, but also the tools that we work with every day, and see the vendors who are presenting them.
I mean, I think what's also interesting as well is you were probably coming here expecting a lot of technical training, but there's actually a lot of but you're firm owners as well. So have there been some good sort of practice management, practice growth sessions that you've been able to get to? What's it been like talking to other firm owners?
Yeah, it was helpful when
We chose the topics which will be helpful to our firm. Today I had an opportunity to attend the process training. How to upskill our employees process, how we have to make them to follow the process. Like other than the technical side, we are also into some of the process training. Because one of the difficult thing that we are facing is always not only just to set up the process, it has to be followed. We have to make them follow.
Yeah.
That is the very difficult thing, and that session was very useful. And it is not on the technical side, but it is on the managerial side. How we have to be as a business owner rather than the operation person.
Yeah.
So this type of managerial level topics are also very good.
And one more session is like the communication. Often we have the problem with the communication from our end to the clients. So one thing is how to communicate clear in order to get what we want.
Yep.
So those type of sessions are really, as Nirmala said, it's really helpful for us to use in our everyday work life.
Yeah, fantastic. And also another thing that's interesting, you work with 287.
As of June. We haven't counted since June.
Since June. Okay, so there's probably more than 287 apps. That's insane to me. But what's it like to go down to the trade show floor and see all the different vendors? Did you see anything that you hadn't seen before, or since you work with 287 apps or more, have you seen it all?
See, when we get into that exhibit hall, whatever booths that we are seeing, everything was it was used by us.
Yeah.
So, for example, tax 1099 we saw, and we saw Canopy there, and everything like there is nothing there that we didn't know.
touch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whereas
We know
same
everything,
whereas
right from-
most attendees probably know 10 of the apps down there, but you're saying that you're like nothing new for us.
No, I sent them over to the tax 1099 and told them I'm going to be sending the team over because we're going to be doing a lot of 1099s. And we not only use tax 1099 for ourselves, but we use it for clients. And they have a new interface. And I said, perfect. Would you train my team while they're here? And then we'll take it back to your clients. Because as soon as we get back,
Straight into that season.
it's straight into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing a lot of that stuff.
Were there any apps, Sharmila, that you sort of they brought out something new, or they had something new that was interesting?
One thing which was new to us is like converting the desktop to QBO.
Yeah.
There was a tool apart from the tool Transaction Pro. We use Transaction Pro, but there was one thing which is called migrating tool that was new to us.
Yeah,
we do
fantastic.
a lot of conversions. That's going to be very
So that was interesting.
Yeah, good. Yeah, nice.
Probably.
Righto. Well, what about the firm? I mean, I think the last time you were on the show, I think you're at about 60 team members. What's the latest for the firm?
Well, I don't know. I just added 4 more emails this morning.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Close to 75.
Close to 75. Wow, so the firm's growing.
It has grown. I mean,
Compared
enormously compared to the last 6 months.
Right.
Like for the upcoming tax season, we are almost expecting another 20 seats where we have
Another 20 seats. Wow.
20
Okay.
seats, yeah. We recently, in addition to the new extended facility, you know about the
Yes,
thing.
yeah.
So we have one more floor wherein we have added 20 more seats.
Wow. So you'll be at 100. When will you hit 100? do you
Very
think?
soon.
Yeah. and how do you feel
Probably
about that?
by the end of the tax
Is that stressful, or like to think about when you started?
It is
You
more of a
started as small
challenging rather
firm.
than stressful. You know,
Yeah,
we like this, so we do it out of a passion. So.
Yep.
Well, she told you in the first interview you did with her, she wanted 350 seats, and I about get up and walked out of the room on that one.
So you're nearly a third of the way there. So
Yeah.
you're going pretty well. That's fantastic. Well, Nirmala and Sharmila, I don't want to hold you up from any other sessions, and hopefully you can get some slots in, Sharmila. But anything else you want to just sort of share? What's your last sort of final thought about QuickBooks Connect? Was it good to come out from Chennai and spend a couple of days here?
Definitely, it is worth.
Definitely,
Yeah.
we are having lot of takeaways to take to India and share with our team members. And it is not because of the technical things that we are learning here. It is more of how the cultural differences they here and how to understand the people. This is also different here. It is like if you see in the whole crowd, we two are a bit different.
Just a touch, yeah.
But we can understand the needs of an accountant, bookkeeper, or the tax firm, and see how we can bring a change in catering to their needs, so that both the ends we can work satisfactorily without any
We
hiccups.
will definitely be bridge between the two ends.
Yeah.
And how many QuickBooks Connects have you been to?
Penny, it's more than 5.
More than 5.
They missed a few during COVID.
Yeah.
Last 2 years we didn't come.
Yeah, the last 2 years are the only years they didn't come.
And good to see some clients, because I know that you've seen some clients and had some meetings with them, some
Yes.
face-to-face time.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity to meet the existing clients as well as to meet the proposed new clients.
Potential new client, prospective new clients. Yeah, fantastic. Well, Nirmala and Sharmila, it's always fantastic to see you in real life. And obviously it's a big investment coming over from Chennai. So thank you so much for coming over, and thank you for spending a bit of time with us.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Dave.
Dave.
And thanks to Penny for giving us an opportunity one more time.
Now it's back to San Diego, and we have several appointments already lined up.
Already lined up.
Yeah.
So, well, good news. Good
So
news.
back to work.
Back to work. Yeah. Fun time's over. Back to work.
All right.
Okay, folks, Penny Breslin and I are here at QuickBooks Connect, and I think it's about time to go home, Penny.
God.
We were just sort of saying, Vegas just really sucks the life out of you. It sucks the moisture out of you, but it's a big couple of days. I think it's been a great conference. Obviously, I work with Intuit QuickBooks, so I think it's been a great conference. Penny, what about you as an attendee? What do you think?
I was quite impressed. It was very well run. Of course, they've been here at this hotel before, and it's not an easy one with the up and downs that a lot of people we also had an employee with a broken foot here, so she was doing around on a little wheelie thing. It was really good. At first, when we looked through the schedule, Nirmala and Sharmila were kind of like, well, there's not enough technical training.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but there's a lot of other stuff that you need internally because you run a firm too.
Because they're firm owners.
And I think that was a real eye opener for them.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like I've been trying to say for the last year. Hey, stop thinking like accountants. You got to start thinking like owners.
Yeah.
And I think that they got a lot of eyesight into that. And Nirmala got a lot of eyesight the first night she did what they called a strip walk. And I told her, reword that sentence, please.
So Nirmala hasn't been to Las Vegas before, right?
No. And I was sitting here in the lobby waiting for them when they came back, and her eyes were like saucers. You and I've talked about this before. When I come to conferences, I lost about 5 minutes in a room. I'm always at the back because I know I'm going to win.
Yep.
Because you're not going to tell me anything that I haven't seen, heard, or had to do already.
Yep.
And I sound like a show-off saying that, but frankly, been around the block for 30 years.
Yeah.
Going into my 7th decade here. And some things don't change, and I think that always amazes me.
That things don't change.
That
that things are so
don't
slow
change.
to change.
Yeah, things are so slow to change that I was just speaking with a young woman earlier. She was talking about her firm. She goes, it's just me, and I'm happy with my small bookkeeping company that I can run, and that I have a good life, and I've got 20 clients, and I make a good living, and I'm happy. And I said, oh my God, that's wonderful.
Fantastic.
She goes, that's okay to say that, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I went,
yeah.
shit, yeah.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is.
I said, you need to go talk to John Brolin.
Yeah, and exactly, and do what you want to do and what makes you tick. Because there are a lot of sessions out here that sort of say you've got to grow, you've got to do this, you've got to offer these types of services. But actually, a lot of folks have quite nice businesses.
Yeah, they do, and frankly, what is growth?
Yeah, true.
You define your own growth, and you define your own products and service line.
And if those 20 clients are growing, you will be growing with them.
Yes.
So that's going to be the knock-on effect of that as well.
And I said, and she goes, well, everybody here. I said, don't you worry. I said, I know a lot of people here that are above your size, and they're just as happy as you are. And I know a lot of larger firms where I just sat down with one girl who wanted to quit when she was working. Yeah. Because she can't get a voice in anyway.
But I also know a number of attendees where they've got a bookkeeping firm, it is just themselves, and they're grinding it out because they're not working smarter. They're doing the manual work that AI, machine learning, is now at a point where it can actually do it. And so I do think that's probably the big takeaway there is, for all that has changed, so much hasn't, and people still are slow to adopt.
Oh, that was one of my clients. We were talking to them earlier. Their controller was here.
Yep.
And we have a team that works on their controls, as well as their tax. And she was going, we were in a meeting, and somebody said, well, what about doing this journal entry and all that stuff? And the presenter said, that's what AI's for. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
If you define it, that will do it.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to review it.
Yep.
But you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And that the amount of time that you save by not doing it is valuable time that can be given over to advisory if you want, or another client if you want, or maybe going home. Yeah. Spending time with the family, exactly, catching the game with your kids or whatever it is. Yeah. A couple of sessions which stood out to me, sort of around the growth side of things. There were some really good MailChimp marketing ones. And a lot of people sort of think MailChimp, oh, that's marketing for new customers. But actually this session was all about how to automate the communications with our current clients to set up the reminders, because funnily enough, tax season happens at the same time every year. Yeah. So now they've got their email reminder programs all set up and established. So now they just click go. They don't have to every year reinvent the wheel. Their email journeys, and basically what happens is, if, for example, if they haven't scheduled an appointment, if they haven't downloaded their organizer or whatever it is, the journey is what they call it, that keeps going to remind them. However, if you get the email, you schedule your appointment using Calendly,
then that journey stops. But all of
And
that's
a new
now
journey
automated.
starts
Yeah.
because you're on the next level.
Yeah, because you're on to the next part
And
of
it's
the
feeding back to you, the tax manager, provider, or whatever, the person who's doing it, and you're going, okay, I don't have to worry, that's going on.
That's done.
That's done.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it because when it's done, it'll come into my queue for the next step of the journey.
And also you can see, or someone in your office can see who the problem clients are. So
Yes.
who's not opening, who's not clicking, let's get them on the phone. And 9 times out of 10, that's sort of the 20% of the client base. But
The one you want to cut.
potentially, yeah, the ones that you do want to cut. But also a true indication of the ones you want to cut. So it's not just this gut feel, but you can actually point to data to say, look, you don't click on our emails, you don't open our emails, you don't respond to our calls, you don't respond to our requests. But not only the reminders of tax times coming up, now's the time to get your information organized, now's the time to book in for this, but also the actual client relationship stuff. So asking, have that, Dawn Brolin's example, have you had any big purchases this year? Are you thinking of any big purchases this year? Do we need to get in for tax planning? What about some cash flow forecasting for the new year? All of the additional advisory services or other ways in which you can help them, they're built into that comms program. So this growth, it's not necessarily for new clients. Lo and behold, they come in because of referrals, but new service growth and that average transaction value or the average revenue from that client, slowly but surely, steadily increasing.
So that's an interesting concept. Acquisition of a new customer is relatively expensive.
Yeah.
And I would prefer to get a customer that's a referral
Yep.
than to get one who just walked in. But one should have a customer. Growing that customer is a lot less expensive.
A lot less expensive and
And it takes into account your brain rather than a MailChimp. But also, when you were saying that, is there an area where, because MailChimp is so integrated into it, and with QuickBooks, to base it on the type of client it is, so that you could say, I want these questions to go to this client, or these email mine is going to
Yeah. That's as a part of that whole client relationship management, you make up groups or segments of your client base. And also with the AI that's built into MailChimp, I think that's really exciting is you can then write to those customers, let's just say that they're veterinarians. Write an email to my professional veterinarian clients reminding them about the upcoming tax season. Write the same letter, but to my plumber clients, reminding them about the upcoming in a
different tone.
In a different tone, yeah.
Or what if you were like, say you had dental practices, and a lot of dentists, it's one chair. Some of them might have multiple chairs, and a lot of them have multiple offices, and some of them actually buy their building. So if you bought your building and you got 3 chairs, cost segregation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a cash thing you do. You're going to be buying a new building. Let's talk about how you're going to segregate the cost of that building because you have X-ray machines in there, and there's.
But I think, but yes, but that's the potential that's sitting within your client base that you may not know. So
I know.
Rather than going out and a lot of people will pay a lot of money for new customer
Okay,
acquisition.
can I ask you a question now?
Yes.
Would you hire your bookkeeper to do that?
No, I'd hire someone with a communications degree or a business degree or something along those lines.
Maybe a 2-year community college
Yeah,
person?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And put them as that director of first impressions and just let them get on with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit there crafting the emails. It might not even be full time. So it might only be part time, but they come in maybe 3 days a week to set these up, to keep everything going, and it then gets done, and it's not on your list of to-dos. Because I'm sure
it's just on your list of review.
List of review. Because I was going to say, if it's on your list to do, I'm sure you'll find, and you don't enjoy doing it, I'm sure you'll find so many other things that will.
So I was talking to a young lady she said, I'm going to hire my first bookkeeper. She said, I've been running this by myself at each point where there's more than I can handle, but I would like to grow.
Yep.
And she said, I was thinking about hiring a bookkeeper part-time. And I said, so what part of the job don't you like? And she told me, and a lot of it was the client communication.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, I just kind of like being quiet and getting my work done.
Yeah.
I said, so you're going to hire somebody just like you and expect them to do what you don't want to do?
Yep.
And she goes,
Oh,
I hadn't thought about it that way. And she goes, can I call you?
I think the other thing that has actually been interesting today, or this conference, I think more than ever, people's willingness to look outside of, not only outside of the traditional domain of what an accounting skill is, but also willingness to look outside their 50-mile radius for employees and actually look outside of the country for quality team members. I think this, for me, has been the first time where I've heard people proactively talk about how big of an impact it's been on their business to expand the search net and expand the concept of team. I think that's been really interesting.
Yeah, and I've got a client here who, she has an office, she's in Montana and she's also in California. And she has one employee in North Carolina. The clients are anywhere. I've got other ones who they have employees in Tennessee, but their offices in Texas.
Yep.
You know, so it doesn't matter. They've figured out that they can do this. And down in that floor, a lot of the tools that allow you to do this and do it so that you are not to doing, you are just reviewing.
Yeah. I think the panel before Ryan Reynolds yesterday, I thought there were a couple of good points out of that. And one of them was from the younger guy on the panel who actually was around this idea of actually accounting can be cool. It's not that stuffy tax audit. I think that is the what people just assume accountants to be, but there are really cool businesses to work on. There are really cool clients to work with. There are really great parts of the country to be working in or building a team from or servicing. So I think that was a big takeaway for me, is actually it's an exciting time to be in accounting, but it's up to you to redefine what your business is.
Yeah.
And it's the best time to do it with the technology and this global workforce that can enable it.
I mean, how many people went into private practices? They spent their years with the big firms doing their audit work and stuff. They spent years in college learning stuff, and then they hung out their own shingle and realized, shoot, I might know how to do a journal entry, but I don't know how to do all this other stuff. And but you did it. You figured it out and you were successful. And we have so much innate internal knowledge that you've learned that you let those debits and credits and journal entries kind of overshadow all the other information that you have to make your business exciting.
Or you fall into that trap of like, shit, the only way I can make money is through 1040s and taxes and killing yourself during tax season. But there is so many other ways in which you can build that business.
Oh, I know. And 1040s, everybody I know wants to get rid of it. And there are, you know what, there's Blackboard, there's GAT Aprils, there's GetTrust. There's a lot of things out there that are going to take that away.
Yeah, I think that tax season is a badge of honor. Hopefully that's something that we'll get rid of.
And let's make year-end and 1099s no needed badge of honor in the future too.
Either, yeah, exactly, yeah. And on that note, I think it's been a great conference. They always put on a good show. I think this year they've had a much more diverse range of speakers.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of CAS and a lot of AI, but that's what's happening.
But these are people who are actually doing it.
Yeah, I did. I noticed that a lot more. It was more practical, a lot more worksheets and a lot more how-to, which I thought was really helpful.
And a lot more honesty.
Yeah.
That this isn't going to be a walk in the park, but when you get to the other end of the park, it'll be sunny and bright.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Penny, always good to see you. Absolute pleasure that it's in person this time.
Yeah, I know.
I guess probably do it again 12 months' time.
Yeah, in 12 months. As long as you don't have another infant come along. I think Sam will kill you.
I'm pretty sure she will, absolutely. So, no, I fly out to Sydney tonight. Penny's back to San Diego, but always a pleasure, Penny, and we'll see you online next time.
See you online next time. Bye-bye, David.
Bye-bye.